Startups are now harvesting ice from glaciers and selling it as luxury ice cubes for $100 a tray.
Glacial ice reminds us of a little-known passage from the philosopher Adam Smith.
Yetis, no country's getting more attention this year than Greenland.
President Trump wants to take Greenland for its natural resources and its strategic location.
90% of Greenland's exports are seafood, but there are untapped oil and rare earth minerals underneath this giant island.
But Greenland's most untouched resource, maybe its most abundant resource,
ice.
Because they call Greenland green, but they should call it Iceland.
Great quote from Mighty Ducks, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
Oh, by the way, I said land is the most valuable resource in the world because it's scarce. How about glacial ice?
Ice, Yetis. 8% of all the Earth's fresh water is locked up in Greenland's glaciers of ice.
And that ice is gold.
Because here's the news. Startups are exporting Greenland's glacial ice as a luxury product at $17
and selling it in American nightclubs for $17 a cube.
But Yetis, here's what Jack and I found fascinating about this story. We have told you before about the power of story selling.
Glacial ice is the ultimate example.
Because according to the Wall Street Journal, in the last year, Greenland's government has approved 13 licenses to 6 companies to harvest their glacial ice.
And one of those companies is called Arctic Ice. Here's what they do, Nick. They capture car-sized icebergs that separate from glaciers each spring and then cut them up into tiny pieces with a chainsaw.
Okay, but then what do they do with them? Because I still got to drink this stuff, man.
Then they ship those ice containers 10,000 miles over the course of 5 weeks to sell them in restaurants and nightclubs in the Middle East to the United States.
Now, your most basic marketer is going to market these as cleaner and denser because they've been compressed in a glacial fjord. And, that would be effective.
But here's the story selling. That glacier is 100,000 years old.
Yes.
So that ice cube, it's made of virgin ice.
This is why they're charging so much for the ice cubes. This is untouched ice. It's never passed through a human before in the state of water.
It's older than mankind. Plus, they carve the cubes, not into cubes, into spheres. So they're ice spheres.
And that story selling of these virgin ice cubes is how they sell 6 cubes for $100 a tray. That's $17 a cube.
They turned a commodity into a luxury.
Basically. Like the restaurants, they're using these ice cubes to justify inflated cocktails. Like what do we see on the menu, Jack?
There's a $218 glass of scotch on ice. Not just any ice.
Yeah.
Glacial ice.
And there's a vodka company whose liquid content in the vodka is the melted glacial ice.
The only one not happy about this is Bobby Boucher, the water boy.
Well, we should point out, Jack, there is a huge carbon footprint when it comes to shipping glacial ice from Greenland.
Yeah, there probably were polar bears harmed in the making of this ice.
Yeah, this is more emissions emitted than your family over the course of an entire year.
Shipping ice from the Arctic Circle made sense in the movie Frozen. Doesn't make sense in 2025 modern economy.
And yet, despite the ethical issues and the abundance of water to turn into ice everywhere, the global ice market is expected to hit $7 billion this year. Ice. It's hotter than ever. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies sipping on global ice?
Adam Smith wrote about this 249 years ago.
Yetis, philosopher Adam Smith is the father of capitalism, and his work is the basis of modern economics.
In his famous 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith wrote about the diamond water paradox.
Also known as the paradox of value. The thought is this: water is more useful to us than a diamond is, and yet we value diamonds more than we value water.
We need water every day, literally, to survive.
Literally.
But we're willing to pay 10,000 times more for a diamond than we are for water.
His conclusion, value, has 2 different meanings. The first is the value of utility,
Which is the value we find from water.
and the other is the value in what something conveys.
Like a diamond, which conveys status and wealth.
So not only is that detail from Adam Smith an interesting observation, it also, ironically, relates to this story.
Because $17 per cube glacial ice, it's a rare example of both of those types of value.
Yeah, it's the diamond of water we're talking about. It is both a utility and a signal.
$17 ice spheres from a glacier reminds us of Adam Smith.